Hello, welcome to the lecture course CHO 351 for MSc2 organic class. So, in last lecture we have discussed about the problem based on structured determination from given NMR data from chapter 1st, that is the NMR in stereochemistry determination. So, in this lecture we move chapter 2, that is the 13th NMR spectroscopy. So, in this lecture we will discuss introductory part of this 13th NMR spectroscopy. So, we start our discussion here. So, this 13th NMR spectroscopy is also one of the technique. With the help of this we can determine the structure of unknown compound. So, when you compare with 1H NMR, that time this 13th NMR spectroscopy, with the help of this technique we can easily interpret the structure of unknown compounds. So, with the help of this technique we can determine the type of type of carbon present in our compound. Type of carbon present means in our compound whether methyl carbon is present or whether methylene or whether methine or whether quaternary or whether alkene or whether alkyne, whether carbonyl or whether aromates. So type of carbon we can determine with the help of this technique. So this technique is very useful to determine the carbon skeleton of the unknown compound. So, with the help of this technique we can determine the structure of unknown compound. But with comparison with 1H NMR, that time interpretation is easier with the help of this technique, that is the 13th NMR spectroscopy. So, when you consider the carbon 13C nucleus, carbon 13C nucleus, carbon 13C. So, carbon 13C and carbon 12C, these are the two isotopes of carbons. So, natural abundance of this carbon 12C in nature is 99.98%. Okay, while this have the only natural abundance 1.08%. So, this 13C have the odd mass, so with nucleus spin I is equal to 1/2. While this have the even mass with I value 0. So this is the NMR active. This is the NMR active. This is the NMR inactive. But if you determine if you record the 13th NMR spectra of any organic compound, that time we can observe that this 13C nuclei undergo resonance as compared to proton NMR. So this 13C nuclei undergo resonance (6,000 times weaker than proton resonance. So there are two major reasons behind this. First reason is that low natural abundance of 13C nuclei in molecules or in our possible structure. That is the low natural abundance of this 13C nuclei. Because of low natural abundance of 13C nuclei in structure whose 13th NMR spectra is recorded. So because of that, what happens in our molecule, number of carbon is less. That time obviously 13C nuclei is obviously least. So when this obviously least, what happens? So 13C nuclei is least. Because of that, this 13C nuclei not undergo resonance very easily. Means we get the very weak signals, that is the 6000 times weaker than proton NMR. So this is the first reason, that is the natural abundance. Natural abundance low means in our molecule whose NMR, whose 13th NMR is recorded, in that number of carbon is less, obviously 13th nuclei is less. So obviously we get the weak signals. This is the first reason. Second reason is that is the magnetogyric ratio of 13th nuclei is the second reason. So magnetogyric ratio of this 13th nuclei is equal to 13th nuclei. Magnetogyric ratio of this 13th nuclei is a 67.28. It is the magnetogyric ratio. While 1H nuclei have the magnetogyric ratio at the value to 67.53. So magnetogyric ratio of 13th nuclei is nearly 1/4 of proton nuclei. When you see here, 67.28 and 267.53. So obviously 13th nuclei magnetogyric ratio is a 1/4 1H nuclei. Means 13th nuclei have a magnetogyric ratio nearly 1/4 proton nuclei. Because of that, this 13th nuclei undergo resonance at lower frequency than, means proton nuclei undergo resonance at higher frequency, while 13th nuclei undergo resonance at lower frequency. And at lower frequency, what happens? Excess spin population is also reduced. And when excess spin population is reduced, that time sensitivity of that technique is also reduced. Means this 13th nuclei undergo resonance at lower frequency, but that lower frequency excess spin population is also reduced. And when excess spin population is reduced, the sensitivity of this technique is also reduced. So because of that, we observe 13th nuclei resonance 6000 times weaker than proton resonance. This is the second reason. So also you have to remember that this 13th nuclei at same magnetic field. So 13th nuclei at same magnetic field undergo resonance at same magnetic field. This 13th nuclei undergo resonance at 1/4 than proton resonance. Okay. So at same magnetic field, when you apply the same magnetic field, that time 13th nuclei undergo resonance at 1/4 than the proton resonance. Means here proton undergo resonance at high magnetic field, while 13th nuclei undergo resonance at low magnetic field. So when we apply the same magnetic field at 7.05 Tesla at this magnetic field, the 1H NMR, so 1H nuclei undergo resonance at magnetic field nearly 300 megahertz. How much? 300 megahertz. While 13C nuclei undergo resonance at value nearly 75 megahertz. So 13C nuclei easily undergo resonance at low frequency. So this is about the introductory part of this 13C nuclei. Next is the correlation chart. In the correlation chart, we discuss about the chemical shift value of 13C nuclei. Correlation chart. Next point, that is the correlation chart. Correlation chart. So, in 13C NMR spectroscopy, the chemical shift value we can observe from value 0 to 220 ppm. How much? 220 ppm. So, in this range, you can observe the chemical shift value. And in 1H NMR, chemical shift value range is 0 to 12 ppm. So when you compare with proton NMR, that time this 13C chemical shift value is nearly 20 times larger than proton NMR proton chemical shift value. Means this chemical shift value is 20 times larger than proton NMR chemical shift value. So this 13C NMR chemical shift value is very large range we can observe here, and because of this, in this 13C NMR, every non-equivalent carbon is appear in 13C NMR. Means peak overlapping. So this peak overlapping problem we cannot observe in 13C NMR spectroscopy because of very large range. So 13C NMR spectroscopy, this chemical shift value we can divide into 4 sections here. So first section is given here. First section for the chemical shift value. First section for chemical shift value. For this, we can consider here TMS, that is the tetramethylsilane, is a reference compound. Tetramethylsilane is a reference compound in which we consider the carbon, we not consider here proton, we consider carbon as a reference compound here. So in first section, we consider the saturated carbon atoms. Saturated carbon atoms means like RCH3, then RCH2, R, then RCH, R dash, or R3, C, H, like this, or R4, C, like this. So this type of group means we consider here, means our carbon, alkyl group carbon or methylene group carbon or methane carbons or quaternary carbon, which is further attached to alkyl group. That type of carbon we consider here in first section. So this is called as saturated carbon atom sections. So in this section, we can observe the chemical shift value, which is the very nearest to TMS, that is 8 to 16 ppm. In this range, we can observe the chemical shift value. This is the first section of the correlation chart. Second section include the effect of electronegative elements. The second section that shows the effect of electronegative elements. When this kind of alkyl group, which is present in first section, which is attached to electronegative element like oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine or nitrogen, that time we can observe the downfield shift for chemical shift value. So in this we can observe the most upfield region here. Because of attachment to oxygen, because of attachment to carbon, chlorine, bromine, iodine, we can observe the chemical shift value from 40 to 80 ppm. So when carbon is attached to iodine, carbon attached to bromine, then carbon attached to chlorine, then attached to oxygen or nitrogen. For that type of carbon, that chemical shift value come in the range 40 to 80 ppm. And third section, that include the third section that include the alkene and aromatic compounds. So from 100 to 175 ppm. In this range, we can observe the chemical shift value of alkene and aromatic carbons. Okay, so this is the third section. In the third section, we can observe the alkene carbon and aromatic ring carbons. That is carbon from 100 to 175 ppm. In this range, we can observe the chemical shift value. And at very low field, we can observe the fourth section. Fourth section include the carbonyl carbons. So carbonyl carbon that include in the fourth section from 150 to 220 ppm. In this range, we can observe the carbonyl carbon. So carbonyl carbon of aldehydes, ketones, then carboxylic acids, esters, amides. So that type of carbonyl carbon we can observe in 13C NMR spectroscopy from 150 to 220 ppm. In this range, we can observe the chemical shift value. So this is about the correlation chart. So this correlation chart we can divide into four sections. That is the first section, second and third and fourth. So when you consider this correlation chart, in that correlation chart we can observe that there are three types of effect we can observe on chemical shift value. That is the same like 1H NMR, proton NMR, or that proton NMR also affected by the three factors, that is the electronegativity, then hybridization, and third is the diamagnetic anisotropy. So all these effects affected same way in 13C NMR spectroscopy also. So 13C NMR chemical shift value is also affected by the same way like 1H NMR. That is three factors affecting the 13C chemical shift. So same like 1H NMR, three factors, that is the first is electronegativity. So this factor also affect the 13C NMR chemical shift value, same like 1H NMR. So here, when any electronegative element is attached over the carbon, suppose group X, which is the electronegative element, that time this electronegative element is directly attached over the carbon. But in 1H NMR, the electronegative element is attached over the carbon, not attached to protons. So in 13C NMR, effect is occur through only one bond. In 13C NMR, here effect is occur through how many bonds? One bond. But here effect is occur through how many bonds? 1, 2. So electronegativity factor is occur through one bond in 13C NMR, while in proton NMR that is occur through two bonds. So because of that, we can observe the very large range from 0 to 220 ppm. So why? Because of this. Means this electronegativity effect is occur through only one bond. Because of that, we can observe the very large range from 0 to 220 ppm. So this is the first factor, that is electronegativity, that also affects in the same way like 1H NMR. So in 1H NMR, this electronegativity effect is decreases with distance, means diminish with the distance. But in 13th NMR, this electronegativity effect, for example, if you consider the example of one hexanon. So in one hexanon, so oxygen is attached to the alpha carbon, beta, gamma and delta. Okay. So this electronegative element, that is oxygen, show the de-shielding effect on alpha and beta carbon. Which effect? De-shielding effect. Means here chemical shift value 60.9 ppm because of de-shielding effect of oxygen. Also here for beta carbon 32.8 ppm we can observe this value. But here small field shift for this gamma carbon we can observe here, that 25.8 ppm. Again for delta we can observe the value 32.0 ppm. So for gamma carbon we can observe the small field shift. See here value 25.8 ppm. But in 1H NMR we can observe that this effect decreases or diminishes with the distance from electronegative elements. But here on alpha and beta carbon we can observe the de-shielding effect, but for gamma carbon small field shift in 13th NMR spectroscopy. Okay, so this is example of one hexanon. From that we can illustrate this thing here. So next is the first, that is electronegativity. Next, hybridization. So hybridization, for this we can consider the example of carbonyl carbon. So carbonyl carbon is sp2 hybridized. Also, so this carbonyl carbon, oxygen is one of the electronegative element is attached. So both effect actually show the chemical structure of this carbonyl carbon from range from 152 to 120 ppm. We can observe this range here. Why? Because of both effect at the hybridization and electronegativity of oxygen. So here also this effect, that is the hybridization, which is directly concerned with carbon. Means carbonyl carbon, which is sp2 hybridized. So this effect again occurs through how many bonds here? Only one bond. Directly concerned with carbons. Because of that we can observe the range from 0 to 220 ppm. Means 20 times larger than proton in NMR chemical shift value. So in 1H NMR, suppose aldehyde proton, in that case this effect is occur through one bond, no doubt. But here this effect is directly concerned with this carbon. Because of that we can observe very large range. So this is the second thing, that is the hybridization. And third is the diamagnetic anisotropy. So this effect, diamagnetic anisotropy, we can observe in alkene compound, also in aromatic compounds. So aromatic compounds, you know that very well. Aromatic compound appear in 13C from 100 to 150 or 175 ppm. In this range we can observe these carbons. So because of alkene, you know that very well, also aromatic carbons, that show the diamagnetic anisotropic effect. So because of this diamagnetic anisotropic effect, we can observe that. So this diamagnetic anisotropic if you are also concerned with directly with carbon, not with proton. Because of that, we can observe very large range as compared to proton NMR. So it is all about the correlation chart. Correlation chart is nothing but 13C NMR chemical shift failure. So in next lecture we will continue our discussion with proton couple and proton decouple spectra from 13C NMR spectroscopy.